Hello, another Starbird Anchorage. We are in Maple Bay, British Columbia, on the east side of Vancouver Island. As we're looking north, you can see the expanse of Maple Bay. The hills on the right side are Salt Spring Island. The hills on the left side are on Vancouver Island. And Maple Bay is a small village, uh, not very far, a 10 or 15-minute ride from Duncan, British Columbia. And the actual village is over on the far end there. You can just see it. Uh, that's where the public dock is. There is some private moorage. But like everywhere on the BC coast, it seems people are dropping either legal or illegal uh, mooring balls, most of them not even used. They just are sort of claiming space. Some are liveaboards, or as one of my boating friends says, diaboards, people that can't really sail or boat, but they manage to scrape together money to not live on the street. They could get an old boat that's not serviceable, and they just plug up all the harbors, it seems. Maple Bay is no different, and it's getting harder to recommend as a transient anchorage for cruising boats. There is dock space, but I have to say that it's getting harder and harder every year to come in and just drop anchor and have a day or two to enjoy the surroundings. Now, you're looking at the Maple Bay Yacht Club, which is very nice. And there's a Harbor Air plane getting ready to take off. We'll just watch it. It's up and on its way, not sure where. Harbor Air is probably the biggest of the local float plane operators. Bases in Vancouver, Victoria, and they bring business people in. Some cruising boats fly people in, crew changes and such. But there's always float planes coming in and out, of different companies to ports and bays in the Salish Sea. That's one reason why it's getting harder and harder to find anchorage here, because literally they need space to land and take off, and so there are restrictions on where you can anchor, where you can even travel sometimes on the busier ports. Anyway, you learn to live with it, and that's okay. Now, Maple Bay is a fairly wide, deep bay. Over by the public wharf, there is a shallow area, but again, not much room for anchorage because of the local mooring buoy situation. And as we look to the south, you'll see another marina, which is Birds Eye Cove Marina. And then some big boathouses. And then down at the end of the cove, where the shallow water is Maple Bay Marina. And it always has space if you're willing to pay. It's also got a pub restaurant and a laundromat and a couple of yacht brokers. So that's the little commercial complex for the area. There is a lagoon way down at the far end that at high tide some boats can get in, but you're limited to where you can go and when you can get out. So not many cruising boats are down there. It's more of a kayak, canoe, day sailor type thing. Oh, we're getting the wake from the plane taking off. Now we're coming down towards low tide, and all of these boats that you see moored here are in a maximum of about 35 feet at low tide and 50 plus feet at high tide. And as you can see, they're all on mooring buoys, but there are a lot more mooring buoys empty, just sitting there. The east side of Birds Eye Cove is private land. There are private docks, ramps, floats, and there's a reef right here which cuts down on some possible anchoring areas. But it's a cool place for residents. We looked at a lot here 10 years ago. It was a little bit out of our reach, and we weren't ready to build. But pretty cool. Anyway, this is Birds Eye Cove, which is the south end of Maple Bay, and unfortunately, as I say, it's getting harder and harder to use this particular bay as a safe and convenient overnight anchorage. Maybe better to be down just across, the lagoon down the end has a short distance to go to get to Genoa Bay, although by boat it's an hour to go up and around down Sansum Narrows. But it's usually quieter, but that's our next stop, and we'll see if the mooring people have taken all over that as well. So, this is Maple Bay.